Ahoi und willkommen zurück zur Fortsetzung des Appendix. Eigentlich zum letzten Kapitel, ich werde es zum vorletzten machen, der Mental Health Reihe, wo ein bisschen erklärt wird, warum man diese Übungen macht, was sich dahinter verbirgt. Eigentlich auch ein sehr spannendes Thema. Ich habe eine Minute vorher angesetzt, ich glaube, wir waren bei 42 irgendwas, um den Anschluss zu finden. Wir waren gerade dabei, dass diese Fünf-Finger-Übung das Unbewusste bewusst macht und dass einen das immer wieder daran erinnert, dass du nicht dein Unbewusstes bist. Dazu wird er gleich noch was sagen.
The hand mnemonic is what is called a pattern interrupt. And that's it's to align your unconscious with what you're doing, and it's to open up the dialogue.
Ja, die Handübung ist praktisch der Pattern Interrupt, die Musterunterbrechung, um wieder das Bewusste mit dem Unbewussten zu verbinden.
Between the ego self and the unconscious, if you want the psychoanalytic language. In simpler language, it would be you're opening up the dialogue between the part of yourself that you're experiencing right now as being you. So if I say to you, take the finger of your right hand and touch your nose, that's you. That's the you that is you. But do you know that the you that is you is more than what you think? It's your unconscious, and that's massively and dramatically more in control than your conscious mind. So we have to interrupt the pattern. What pattern? The unconscious pattern. 5 times the alarm goes off and I do my hand mnemonic. I just interrupted the unconscious, and the unconscious will go, what? I was going to drive the car and sip some water and...
Hatte ich schon mal gesagt, 90% der Zeit laufen wir auf Autopilot. Unser Gehirn ist ein Energiesparer, evolutionär betrachtet. Das heißt, erlernte Muster werden einfach immer wieder repetiert, wenn sie nicht reflektiert und verändert werden. Deswegen ist es ja so wichtig, sich ein bisschen besser zu verstehen, auch einzuordnen, bin ich wirklich mein Gefühl, den inneren Dialog zu ordnen, alles, was ja in der Mental Health Forschung vorkam. Überhaupt erstmal ein Bewusstsein zu schaffen für wer bin ich, wie funktioniere ich.
Get the food from the grocery. What are we doing? Well, I'll tell you what we're doing unconscious. We're reminding ourselves to state our intent. We're reminding ourselves that we have agency. We're reminding ourselves to have a boundary between an emotional flashback and who we are.
Das muss ich nicht wiederholen. Die Fünf-Finger-Übung war ja ein ganzes Kapitel. Auf jeden Fall wichtig zu unterscheiden, du bist nicht deine Emotionen. Dazu hatte ich auch mal ein anderes Video gemacht. Deine Emotionen sind teilweise Dinge, die aus der Kindheit hochkommen, aus dem Es, aus dem Unbewussten, alte Programmierungen. Aber auch evolutionär betrachtet einfach Gefühle, die dich schützen sollen, sagte ich mal, zur Depression oder zur Angst oder zur Wut. Aber wie viel davon bist wirklich du?
Remember, over and over and over and over again. Why? Because as far as I know, to date, the only language the unconscious understands, I don't think you can talk directly to the unconscious. I don't believe that anymore. I used to. I think the unconscious really only responds to repetition and training in the way that you would train a dog. I think it's a primal part of us. It's, when I say primal, I mean a more primitive, more animalistic part of us. It will serve us if we train it to, but untrained, it's a nightmare. It's just a nightmare. It'll just fling out desires, you know, I want to fight with this person, I feel jealous about this, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes it'll be good and you'll be like, oh, I'm having a good day. And then other times it'll start spewing again and you go, oh, I must be crazy. And then you blame you and then you feel bad about yourself.
Da spricht er einen wichtigen Punkt an. Dieses Gefühl, ich bin nicht normal, ja, ich bin verrückt. Ja, wenn du dich zu sehr mit deinen Gefühlen in deinem Unbewussten identifizierst, kommt vielleicht noch diese toxische Scham dazu, zu der ich ja beim nächsten Video nochmal was machen möchte. Das Nice Guy-Syndrom, die neurotische Antwort, gefallen zu wollen, all diese miesen, antrainierten Muster, die man aufbrechen muss.
And you walk around going, oh, I'm just crazy, look how moody I am, look how moody I can't cope with anything, I can't remember anything. I drift off when people are talking to me, I'm just crazy, No, your unconscious is running rampant and we got to tame it. Ja, das Unbewusste läuft wild und wir müssen es zähmen. Ja? Nichts ist davon real teilweise. Wie viel ist von unserer Wahrnehmung überhaupt real? Und selbst problematisieren, neurotisches sich reinsteigern in einen negativen Feedback-Loop ist das Schlimmste, was du eigentlich machen kannst. Da muss ich aus meiner Arbeit auch sagen, viele Leute haben das, dieses Obsessieren, dieses fast neurotische Aufschreiben von jedem Gedanken, immer natürlich an den
Coach in dem Fall oder Therapeuten gerichtet, wie auch immer, Life-Coach. Ja, mache ich dann alles richtig? Ja, ist dann das gut? Was mache ich hier? Was mache ich da? Das ist analytisch betrachtet, problemorientiert, völlig okay. Aber meistens ist da halt dieses Gefühl, falsch zu sein dahinter, ja, da auf der tieferen Ebene. Und da muss man, denke ich, meistens als erstes ansetzen, dieses toxische Über-Ich, dieser negative innere Dialog, dieses sich falsch fühlen. Da bin ich zum Glück weitestgehend raus. Das hat aber auch lange noch gedauert.
Not tame it. No, we don't need to. We got to form a relationship with it. We got to work with it. Tame it, maybe tame it, maybe tame it.
Ja, man muss eine Beziehung mit dem Unbewussten aufbauen. Man muss die Gefühle, ich würde es mal so beschreiben, einfach in der Form der radikalen Akzeptanz akzeptieren, wie Wolken am Himmel vorbeiziehen sehen. Okay, jetzt habe ich Angst. Okay, jetzt bin ich unkonzentriert. Okay. Ja, das ist wichtig. Sich nicht voll mit dem Gefühl identifizieren, es aber annehmen, es auch nicht abspalten, unterdrücken, versuchen zu kompensieren, wie er sagt, durch alle möglichen Coping-Mechanismen.
You got to work with it. It's a primal part of you that you've got to open a dialogue with, and you've got to start directing it, because an undirected unconscious is what my life looked like in my 20s and my 30s. And only by the grace of God did I not terminate this simulation for myself permanently, because it was a nightmare. It was total chaos.
Das kann ich gut nachvollziehen. Meine 20er und 30er sahen ähnlich aus. Wenn du praktisch dich voll mit deinem Gefühl, mit deinen Impulsen identifizierst und einfach nur im Es bist und einfach nur Schattenarbeit machst, um es mal nett auszudrücken, und dich zutust und versuchst, dich krampfhaft von deinen Problemen abzulenken und dich mit deinen negativen Affekten voll identifizierst. Ja, ist aber auch schwer, wenn man jung ist und das noch nicht so verstanden hat und noch in der Entwicklung ist.
Because I was subsumed in the shadow, it was out of control. It controlled me. So the hand mnemonic is a hard break, but it's not one off. You don't get one good day of using the hand mnemonic. It's 30 days. You said that was arbitrary. Yeah, okay. Remember the discretionary gap? It's a number of consecutive days back to back that extends beyond your comfort zone and extends beyond where you think it will have worked. So, you're the intellectuals who intellectualize. I'll share a secret with you. In my humble opinion, there is no way, just no way, that anybody who is sincerely doing the exercise, there are people who do the exercise with the intent to disprove it, and they win. They go, it doesn't work. And I'm like, well, you don't want it to work. Your intent is that you don't want it to work. If you...
Da würde ich sagen, wenn Leute das machen, nur um zu beweisen, dass es nicht funktioniert, dann sind sie in der Selbstsabotage. Absolut. Dann wollen sie sich unbewusst oder bewusst negativ bestätigen. Das Konzept ist ja bekannt. Skinner-Experiment fällt mir mal wieder dazu ein. Von den Hunden, die man in den Käfig sperrt, immer wieder Stromstöße verpasst. Und irgendwann kommt die erlernte Hilflosigkeit halt zustande und der Hund bleibt im Käfig liegen und nimmt die Stromstöße und glaubt, er hat sie verdient. Ja, wenn man das lange noch programmiert, wie er sagte vorhin, das Unbewusste lässt sich programmieren, dann kommt das sozusagen bei raus, dass man gleich glaubt, alles ist schlecht. Der ultimative Pessimist, das Glas ist immer halb leer. So war ich auch den größten Teil meines Lebens. Keine sehr produktive Haltung, kann ich nur sagen. Also zumindest eine Mitte zwischen Optimismus und Pessimismus, oder zumindest zu dem philosophischen Schluss kommen, Optimismus ist alternativlos. Also wenn ich leben will, dann muss ich mein Bestes geben, muss ich alles versuchen. Ansonsten kannst du ja auch jederzeit springen. Aber dieses Gejammer dazwischen, meistens war ja nicht narzisstische Gejammer dazwischen, auch wenn das phasenweise okay ist, bringt keinen weiter. So viel kann ich aus eigener Erfahrung auch nochmal dazu beitragen.
Follow the instructions given here on the Fortress YouTube channel. And you do it with the intent. I told you, set the intent to heal. That's what we're not doing in psychology. We never talk about that. What's your intent? I want to heal. So why are we talking about, for an hour psychology session, of all the things that are wrong? Where if our intent is to heal, it should at least be 50-50. This is what I want. I want to have a good life. I want loving relationships. I want sanity. I want peace. But it's not even 90-10.
Ja, da spricht er einen wichtigen Punkt an. Therapie ist ja meistens in der Scheiße wühlen. Schattenarbeit, die ich auch für wichtig erachte, ist leider nicht so positiv. Da geht es erstmal darum, die Baustellen aufzuräumen. Da muss man zuerst hin. Und dann eher in die Lichtarbeit, in das Affirmieren, in das Positive zukünftige Bild schaffen, das ist absolut wichtig auch. Also ich denke, es ist keine Ausschließeritis an der Stelle. Aber wenn du in so eine Sitzung gehst und in der Scheiße rührst, wie ich sage, dann ist es schwer, in dem Moment die Stimmung zu ändern. Also wie er sagt, 50-50 wäre gut, aber dann müsstest du die Sitzung abwandeln und sagen, okay, jetzt müssen wir mal richtig drum rum und dann machen wir mal vielleicht eine Sitzung, wo wir positive Zielvorstellungen implementieren, die absolut wichtig sind. Dieser Intent to Heal, diese Absichtserklärung gibt ja wieder eine Dopaminbelohnung für die Zukunft. Ja, unser Gehirn ist ja nun mal ein Faulbär und möchte immer belohnt werden. Und deswegen ist eine positive Zukunftsvorstellung absolut wichtig, um eine Motivation auch aufrechtzuerhalten. Da gebe ich ihm absolut recht. Das kommt eben auch auf die Therapieform an, in der man sich gerade befindet. Also wenn man jetzt Psychoanalyse macht oder Tiefenpsychologie, gut, ist das eigentlich nicht so an der Tagesordnung. Bei der Verhaltenstherapie ist es vielleicht zu sehr an der Tagesordnung, während dabei die unbewussten Sachen nicht beachtet werden, die einen blockieren. Es ist letztlich ein integriertes Konzept und das kommt ja in der Fortress hier auch ganz gut raus, dass es ein mehrschrittiges, integriertes Konzept eigentlich braucht, um Verhalten zu ändern, um Denkmuster zu ändern.
It's not even like you do 50 minutes of talking about everything that's wrong and then 10 minutes of what you do want. It's 60 minutes of what I don't want and everything that sucks. I would suggest it should probably be 50-50. This is what I don't want. Talk about that for half an hour. This is what I do want. Let's dwell on what we do want for half an hour. That's just a suggestion. It's just a suggestion. Nobody has to do anything, I say. So that's the hard break. How many days should you do it for? If you do it for 7, it's going to change your life. That's a little secret between me and you. I say 30 because of the discretionary gap. Because people say to me, I did it. You'll see me. If you ever watch me on an Instagram live, people go, I did it, it didn't work. And I'll be like, did you do it? Yes, I definitely tried. Did you do it? Well, I certainly thought very hard about doing it many times. But did you do it? No, I didn't do it.
Hast du es gemacht? Ja, ich wollte. Ja, ich hatte auf jeden Fall die Absicht, das zu tun. Hast du es gemacht? Nein. Okay, warum unterhalten wir uns überhaupt?
Okay, it's funny how it didn't work when you didn't do it. If you do it, the other level to this is like, it's about self-governance. You have an executive function. It's called an executive function in psychology. It's like an internal mother or an internal father. It's off for people who are traumatized. It's just clicked off. The little robot's on off. We need to click it back on. Hello, wake up. Do your job. So you have to kick that machine a few times. And I bet the first few times you do the hand mnemonic, I would think the gears will grind for the first 3 days, because that robot's been asleep for a long time. And you're basically kicking it and going, wake up, wake up. And it goes, what do you want? Well, I want to heal. Why didn't you say that before? And then it will stop because it's rusty, so you have to tell it again and again and again. 7 days of sincere effort, your life will change. I say 30 because you're going to lie to me.
Ja, deswegen sagt er 30, weil du lügen wirst und faul sein wirst. Auch ein Problem, klar. Viele Klienten sind ja nicht mal ehrlich zu sich selbst, sondern ja auch nicht ehrlich zum Therapeuten, weil sie immer noch sich selbst belügen. Das ist immer das Erste, was man aufgeben sollte. Radikale Akzeptanz, Sachen auf den Tisch, gut akzeptieren, was ist. Und da tun sich ja schon viele schwer. Verständlicherweise sind ja alles alte Schemata, an die man sich da eingearbeitet hat. Gerade toxische Scham und so weiter, kaputtes Über-Ich, gesellschaftliche Normen, Erziehung, die einen praktisch kaputt gemacht haben. Und dann lügt man sich sogar selbst. Da hat es wirklich auch der Therapeut schwer, manchmal durchzukommen.
Everybody lies. Everybody just lies. How many days did you do? Oh, I did 30. And I'm like, that means 7. So, okay, you did 30 days. You did 7 days. Probably. If you authentically do 30 days, it's going to change your life. The thing is, and here's another little secret, it's between me and you. Say you do 7, it'll change your life. If you do 14, sincerely, five times a day, when I say it changes your life, I'm not saying it'll fix all your problems. I didn't say that. I said it'll change your life. You'll never not consider using this ever again. You'll always go back to this because it's so easy. It's like stupidly easy. There's no side effects. It doesn't cost anything. It's free. You'll always use it again because it's so effing powerful. After 14 days, you will start to feel like, I've had enough of this. I don't need to set an alarm and do this all the time. But I would say do it for 30. Hammer it. Hammer it. Hammer it. Make sure that neural pathway is ground in so that you wake that robot up and keep your executive function switched on so it's protecting you and taking care of you. Pretty deep so far, a lot of information. It gets deeper. We're going to go back to the, I haven't yet touched on the space in the psychic realm. There is a point where I need you to be applying psychic energy in the Jungian sense, and you're almost going to do something psychic in the modern meaning of like, ooh, strange phenomena and, you know, clairvoyance. And there is a thing that's called automatic writing. Don't look it up, it doesn't matter. Like, people used to claim that they were channeling a spirit. I've spoken to the Egyptian god Iwas, and he said blah, 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 and you know, you go into a trance and you just start writing. It's like a role play. It's a fantasy. Powerful one, very, very powerful. I'll pretend Freud is writing through my fingers. I'll pretend Bruce Lee is sending you a message, whatever you want, right? So it's called automatic writing. You go into a trance, or you sort of half role play, you're in a trance, and then you start writing as though that person has possessed you. And you'll come out with stuff that you consciously could never think of. And nobody can explain why you're coming out with stuff that nobody can think of. Where's it coming from? Nobody knows. It's a total mystery where it's coming from. Nobody, literally nobody knows. Where is it coming from? I don't know. Great way of accessing the unconscious if you're creative. That's a fantastic thing to do.
Kunsttherapie, habe ich auch schon von gehört. Interessant. Da kommen aus dem Unbewussten sozusagen im kreativen Prozess Dinge raus. In der Psychoanalyse gibt es auch das freie Fantasieren, wenn man keine Erinnerungen hat, oder die Traumdeutung, wofür Freud ja berühmt ist. Man versucht sozusagen an allen Stellen irgendwo das Unbewusste bewusst zu machen, weil sich viele halt nicht klar sind, was da eigentlich in ihnen schlummert.
Okay. What?
Und das kreative Schreiben wollte ich noch sagen, was er da meint, oder dieses Channeling, würde man jetzt esoterisch sagen, daran glaube ich ja nun mal gar nicht. Trotzdem leite ich alle, die von mir Beratung wollen, immer an, eine lange E-Mail zu schreiben, wo sie durch Schreiben nochmal anders reflektieren, weil durch Schreiben wird ein anderes Gehirnzentrum aktiviert als durch Reden. Also können da immer noch mal andere Dinge rauskommen als im Gespräch. Deswegen ist Journaling ja auch so interessant, wenn man einen gewissen Zeitraum festlegt, in dem man Veränderungen will. Ist es gut, jeden Tag eine Notiz zu machen. Ja, heute habe ich mich so gefühlt. Allein um einen Überblick des Entwicklungsprozesses zu haben, aber auch um unter Umständen unbewusste Prozesse in Gang zu setzen oder eben das Unbewusste bewusst zu machen.
It's the moment where you're going to tread the line between psychic energy and psychic energy. Is it the moment that you get the page out? You must use a piece of paper. You must use a pen. It must be physical. It can't be in pixels on your phone. Not if you're a newbie. After a year of using this, you can write it in paint on the side of a shed for all I care. You could scribble it in the dirt with a stick and it will work, but not when you're a newbie. When you're a white belt, you have to do your apprenticeship. And it will suck a little bit, but it's really not that bad if you do it. Thinking about doing it and evading doing it sucks. Doing it is like, oh, is that it? Everybody says that. And then after day 3 of doing it, they'll go, you know what, it's actually quite fun. I'm like, yeah, I know. Because you're getting benefits from it. Now you feel better. With the emotional flashbacks, the hand mnemonic is the pattern interrupter that stops them and slows them and spaces them out so you can have some palm readings, some calm. It's the emotional literacy that really stops the emotional flashbacks. It is because you're emotionally illiterate that you're still flashbacking, because you can't have an authentic emotion. Psychic space. Is it when the paper is out? No. Is it when the pen is out? No, but nearly. The moment that you say to yourself, and this point that I'm going to make, I've made some tough points today, but this one's the weirdest and the most complicated, and I'm going to do my best. And this is what I think happens. And I was given this methodology through a kind of Freudian introspective process that bordered between channeling my psychic energy and channeling my psychic energy. So you could be like, I'm not doing that. That sounds weird. Let me explain to you. It's not that weird. It actually makes a lot of sense. But I believe I got it from this place that nobody knows where it comes from. Is it? So I write down and I say, something bad happened today. I dropped the tea in the shop. I dropped the tea and everybody looked at me and I felt silly. Oh, I felt bad. Tea. This is how we do the emotional literacy exercise. Can you name 3 emotions that you felt about spilling the tea? So I do this, and the pen's about to hit the paper. When does it become psychic? When does it become like automatic writing for a fraction of a second? Tea. What did I feel? I asked myself, what emotion did I feel? Now. Now. Between me doing this, what emotion did I feel? And then I move the pen towards the paper, something is happening inside of me. Shame is what I felt. Right here, something is happening inside of me. Something is happening inside of me that is this. Let's call it moment X. Okay, here we go. This is what I think is happening. This is what I think is happening. I don't know, but this is what I think is happening, and it also explains why it works so ridiculously well in a way that is disproportionate with what the exercise looks like. At moment X, what are we doing? Here's what I think you're doing. Here's what I think we are doing. Imagine your ego, your sense of self, right? And that's who you are right now. I'm in my head, in my chest. I'm dwelling in my body. Here I am. I'm possessing my meat suit. That's you. But not your ego, the part of you that observes that the ego is in the body. The awareness. So you pull out from your ego and you say, there's a part of me that is an observer of everything that's happening, this video I'm watching, what the guy's saying, the sound outside my window, my feet on the floor, the way my back feels. I've not moved for a while. Have a bit of a stretch and a big deep breath. And all of that is being observed by something that's observing everything. And it's this point of observation. Color it, make it a little ball. The graphics that you pull up in your head don't need to be good. In fact, deliberately make them like crappy 80s cartoon graphics. Do you remember Defenders of the Earth? Yeah, do it like that. A little pink ball, and that's your point of awareness. And your unconscious, I'd like you, because it's a traumatized unconscious, because it's a battered, dysregulated, chaotic, not yet tamed unconscious, it's the matrix. Remember the matrix? It's a huge bank of cables and pods and wires and like tubes, and it's got electricity, lightning all across it. And the little ball of awareness is floating in front of that huge chaotic, but the matrix was ordered. So imagine it as a twisted mess like H.R. Geiger, the H.R. Geiger pictures, plus the matrix. It's like a mess. And that's your unconscious because of trauma, because of emotional dysregulation. And what I've said to you, or what you've said to you, is what did you feel? And in this moment, moment X, as the pen comes to the paper and I go inside and I say to myself, what did I feel? I'm sending the point of awareness into the matrix of my unconscious, and I'm going, she wants an answer. What do we feel? And the unconscious has to give you something. Now, just synchronistically the other day, I was talking to one of the coaches there.
Ich hoffe, ihr habt soweit verstanden. Also er hat das Unbewusste, das traumatisierte, kaputte Unbewusste, wie die Matrix dargestellt im Film. Und was er hier beschreibt, ist ein Prozess der Dissoziation, dieser Punkt. Also, dass man sozusagen in die Beobachterperspektive geht, auch in die reflektive Perspektive. Das nennt man Dissoziation, dass man sich sozusagen beobachtet, was mache ich hier, was fühle ich hier, was ich vorhin meinte, mit die Emotionen, wie die Wolken an sich vorbeiziehen sehen, ja, in eine entspannte Beobachterperspektive gehen. Und wenn man dann diese Emotional Literacy-Geschichte macht und wirklich mal reinschaut, was fühle ich eigentlich gerade und diese Gefühle besser differenziert, wie er meinte, und nicht taub ist, emotional taub ist, weil man eben sehr viel verdrängt hat, meint er, ist es so, als ob man dem Unbewussten ein Signal sendet. Was fühle ich jetzt aus der Beobachterperspektive? Und dass das Unbewusste dann eine Antwort geben muss. Interessante Theorie.
The life coaches, I was talking to Steve, who did computing back in the day when it was on tape. And he explained to me what random access memory was. because he had a tape cassette that he was burning old cassettes onto MP3 files, and he actually had a Walkman that does it straight to the MP3. And we were talking about how it does that, and I was sat there and I was going, is it just, he said, you have to play the tape in real time. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense, because the data is just literally rolling on the tape. Yeah. And he goes, yeah, that's right, it's rolling on the tape, so it's just making a recording of what's on the tape. He said that what that is, he said it, let me get this right, he said that's called serial memory. So in computing, you could only access the files in a series. So to get past that, they had a filing system, a file manager on every piece of data. And that's where you get random access memory from, which would mean that you could access whatever you want, whatever song on the album, or whatever word of a lyric of a line on the album, straight away, you can access it. But he says in order to do that, if our matrix of information is here, with the lightning, and then there's a little point of awareness here, and it says, hey, I need to know what we felt about spilling the tea. Something has to go inside and access that data. In other areas, in hypnosis and in neurolinguistic programming, that search for data is called a transderivational search. In computing, apparently what happens, when you want to pull up a file, I hand you an MP3 drive, and I say, oh, there's a video on there of me explaining how to overcome emotional flashbacks, and you put it into your computer and you want to play it, the computer has to go to the file and speak to the file and say, can you please pull up? And then the file itself knows its own registry. It has an index. It goes, what do you want? He goes, give us the emotion for today. And somebody in here goes, what do you want? I need the emotion from today. I don't know. The emotion from the tea room. What? Emotion from the tea room? What for? We usually just play dreams and horror shows and emotional flashbacks here. What do you need that for? He wants the emotion, he said. Somebody has to go in there and pull it out. There's no somebody. This is all a model of what I think is happening. Not what's really happening, but something very close to this I think is actually happening. And something goes inside and goes grumpily. It's not happy. It's not smooth. It goes, oh, for fuck's nearly. In fact, I think I did swear there. I'm going to have to edit that. For F's sake, fine. Goes out and it's like, oh, I don't have that data. I don't know. I'll just make it up. I'll make it up. Here's a little secret, folks. I think everybody, including me, the first few times you do this, you fake it. Because that person, that dudette inside of you doesn't know how to do it. But you're asking it and you're going, well, the pen is about to hit the page. So in like fractions of a second, your brain goes, well, what would somebody else feel? Probably shame. And then you write it, you fraud, you liar. You write it. It's only to you. Like, I'm not going to mark it. Nobody's going to mark it.
Ich hoffe, ihr seid mitgekommen mit dem, was er da erklärt hat aus der Computerrichtung, dass sozusagen dein Dateizuordnungssystem praktisch im Eimer ist. Wenn dein Unbewusstes eben traumatisiert ist, beschädigt ist, wie auch immer, du keinen Zugriff hast auf die Informationen. Was fühle ich hier überhaupt? Du bist taub. Ja, passiert ja häufig nach einem Trauma, ist man emotional taub. Man geht sogar so weit, dass man rational Gefühle ableitet und sagt, ja, ich müsste jetzt mich eigentlich gut fühlen oder schlecht. Okay, mein Dateizuordnungssystem ist sozusagen im Eimer. Und irgendwann, wenn dein Unbewusstes und dein Bewusstes, wenn dein Unbewusstes geheilt ist und beide besser miteinander agieren, müsstest du diese emotionale Taubheit aufheben können und einen besseren Zugriff auf deine Gefühle haben, ja.
You write it down and you go, oh, I think I felt shame, but fuck knows, I don't know. Oh, I've sworn now, ruined it. I think I felt shame. Maybe it was shame. It was shame. What else did I feel? Well, what would somebody else feel? So the person who's accessing the files has now learned to lie. He's gone, well, we found a solution last time. They want another one. We need another file. He wants a second emotion. He wants a second. This is getting like a Monty Python sketch, isn't it? He wants a second emotion. What for? He just wants one. He wants a second emotion. So he then goes in and pretends to look it up, but he's not looking it up because he doesn't know how. She doesn't know how because he's lazy and out of practice. So he goes, let's lie. What would somebody feel? maybe you'd feel like, they felt shock. The single point of awareness goes, we felt shock. And you go, I felt shock. So you have like, in fractions of a second, this little internal communication, and it comes out with shock. But I think it's probably a lie. It's probably you're probably simulating the human emotion. And so it goes on, and you do what you're supposed to do. Now, what's happening here? First of all, you're getting used to going inside and asking the single point of awareness to go and ask the dude who works on the matrix. That's good. You're getting comfortable with it. You're like, this is a thing now. We need, you know, that evidence room. It's like something from a cop movie, isn't it? Do you have the evidence from the shooting of February 1972? And some person will be like, okay, and they'll waddle off and they'll get the box. And they'll go, there you go. Like, you're getting used to asking the question, you're conditioning yourself, you're building the strength, you're doing push-ups for it. This single point of awareness is getting used to, it doesn't go there. Your single point of awareness is probably on survival mode. It's probably like, where's the threat? Where's the comfort food? Where's the painkiller? Where's the threat? Where's the alcohol?
Ja, das kann ich mir gut vorstellen, was er hier sagt. Wenn du im Trauma bist, das kenne ich jetzt aus eigener Erfahrung, aber auch von vielen Geschichten, dann passiert eine Regression. Ja, gerade im Kontext toxischer Beziehungen wirst du regressiv bis in die Kindheit zurückgedrückt und reagierst sozusagen nur noch mit kindlichen Antworten, mit ganz primitiven Antworten. Ja, quasi hier, wie er sagt. So, ich muss saufen, ich muss fressen, ich muss schlafen, ich muss mich ablenken, ich bin dissoziiert von mir selbst, ich muss mich schützen. Eben die üblichen Antworten aus dem 4F-Schema. Und höhere Denkfunktionen sind gar nicht mehr möglich. Man ist total runtergesampelt auf primitivste Reaktionsmuster. Da ist es besonders schwer gegenzuhalten. Ja.
That's what your single point. And now you're saying, please go inside and ask the unconscious what we feel. So you're practicing doing that. Well done. You're practicing doing that over and over again. You're moving your single point of awareness around. Damn, you've never done that before. Wowee. Well effing done. I swear a lot, I realize, when I'm told not to swear. But you're also getting this entity, the file manager, the guardian of the evidence, the guardian of the memories and the emotions, because it is thought that your emotions and memories get stored in a similar place and in a similar way. It is conjectured, what is it? God, I can't remember now. Hypothalamus. So it is known, Khaleesi, that with intense trauma that goes on for a long time, your hypothalamus shrinks. You can look this up. It's
Das stimmt, die Studie habe ich auch vorliegen. Der Hypothalamus schrumpft bei andauerndem Missbrauch, bei hohen Cortisolspiegeln auch, also Schmerzhormonen. Der Körper im Stress ist Stress- und Schmerzhormon. Die Amygdala wächst, also da kommt die emotionale Dysregulation ins Spiel. Und was in der Studie nicht drin ist, wovon ich aber mittlerweile überzeugt bin, ist die Insula, die ich im Borderline-Video erwähnt habe, wird auch beeinflusst. Das heißt, die 3 Zentren geraten sogar neurologisch aus dem Gleichgewicht, verändern sich. Deswegen ist posttraumatische Belastungsstörung und Borderline zu 90% deckungsgleich, lustigerweise. Also du wirst, wenn du lange Trauma erlebst, sei es in einer Beziehung oder kindlichen Missbrauch oder was auch immer, du wirst praktisch in die emotionale Dysregulation, ins Borderline, ins Schwarz-Weiß-Denken, ins Kindliche regressiv zurückgedrückt. Wenn es auch nur für eine Zeit ist, das hängt dann von der Intensität des Trauma ab. Borderline wäre sozusagen die schwerste Version von posttraumatischer Belastungsstörung in dieser Logik. Wird im nächsten DSM wohl auch zusammengelegt.
You look up numerous studies. The search terms will be PTSD, hypothalamus and volume. It is observably smaller post-trauma.
Ja, es schrumpft, wie er sagt. Und damit ist das Erinnerungsverarbeitungszentrum selbstschützend am Werk. Ja, Dame Wu habe ich vielleicht mal erwähnt. Man erlebt den Missbrauch gar nicht mehr, man spaltet die Erinnerung komplett ab. Man lebt sozusagen in einer missbräuchlichen Beziehung beispielsweise über Jahre und spaltet den Teil komplett ab. So ähnlich wie Déjà-vu, man ahnt, dass etwas passiert. Déjà-vu, man vergisst, dass ich jeden Tag den Stromstoß kriege, um jetzt wieder bei den Hunden im Käfig zu bleiben. Ist eine Anpassung, aber dereguliert sozusagen ganz viele neuronale Zentren im Gehirn. Also man muss auch über die Neuroplastizität auch wieder ausheilen an der Stelle, indem man eben die richtigen Schritte unternimmt nach so einem Trauma. Ich will mir das gar nicht ausmalen, wie das ist mit einem schweren kindlichen Trauma oder einer längeren Beziehung, einer wirklich missbräuchlichen Beziehung und nicht nur, mein Ex war Narzisst, um Tugendhaftigkeit zu signalisieren.
You stop accessing the little Monty Python man, the little grumpy Monty Python man that knows your feelings. You're just like, we can't, not even I, beyond the ego, just the point of awareness is like, I have a different job to do and it's survival mode. We ain't got time for this. The problem is when you stop using this, like any muscle, it literally shrinks. Physically it shrinks. I need to remember Tetris. So then you're asking it to go and access memories. And it gets, so you've learned to go internal, slow down, ask self a question. This is therapeutic in and of itself. It is known for the Tetris reason, which I'll come to in a moment. This is therapeutic. Just this. You going inside and moving the internal points of awareness around internally is therapeutic. It won't always feel natural. At first, it won't feel natural. The first few times you go to yoga, you grind, and you're like, oh, and then you're like, oh, actually, that feels good. This twist, I need this. It hurts, but I actually do need this. Oh, yeah, that's good. So you've done that, and now you're accessing the little Monty Python man and making him find the emotions. And he's grumpy, and he's gotten old and dusty. He's like, oh, he's like the robot. He's like, oh, what? Just give him something fake. Just tell him just lie. So he will probably start lying. But guess what? You're going to sit there, the you that is the ego that is you, is going to sit there with this and go, once this is out. So everything I just gave you is therapeutic in and of itself. And I can't claim to have done the research. I don't know. This is the key that grows the hypothalamus back. When people with intense PTSD, because the hypothalamus does grow back, what they've tried to do is give them different exercises to grow the hypothalamus back. And it seems to be the case that if you give people an exercise that permits them or induces them to assign emotion to memory, the hypothalamus grows back and then you're emotionally re-regulated. What a claim. I'm claiming that my emotional literacy exercise, which I designed in 2017 based on the literature I was reading at the time, is actually an effort to see if I can get people's hypothalamus to grow back post-trauma. I'm trying to change the shape of your brain. And I think the reason why the results are so strong is because, yes, it has changed people's brains. They don't backslide. What are you going to do with a small, shriveled, little hypothalamus? You can't assign emotion appropriately either to you lose your memories. You're like, I can't access, the random access memory is gone. I can't access it. It'll probably be serial memory format now. You'll have regressed to a 1960s computer format. I'm not being facetious, by the way.
Das finde ich spannend, dass er glaubt, mit dieser Übung, die er entwickelt hat, zur emotionalen Literarität, die ja so wichtig ist, den Hypothalamus wieder zum Wachsen bringt, gerade nach traumatischen Erlebnissen, wenn der geschrumpft ist, wenn wir unsere emotionalen Erinnerungen nicht mehr zuordnen können mit der erweiterten Amygdala dahinter, die völlig wild schwingt und vielleicht noch über der Insula eine Fehlwahrnehmung haben und alles halt wie kleine Kinder sehen und total hypersensibel sind und schwarz-weiß jetzt mal im übertriebenen Sinne bei WPD, wäre das der erste Schritt, erstmal wieder in Kontakt mit seinen Emotionen kommen, die wieder neu zuordnen können und damit dann auch wieder Umwelteinflüsse neu zuordnen zu können. Man muss sozusagen das ganze System rebooten. Ja? Man muss immer wieder das Unbewusste nach oben spülen mit dieser Fingerübung. Man muss mit der emotionalen Literacy erstmal wieder einen Kontakt zu sich selbst herstellen, wieder eine gesunde Gehirnstruktur. Also ich finde das wirklich revolutionär, was er mit der Mental Health Fortress gemacht hat. Nicht umsonst habe ich es euch versucht nahezubringen.
Those of you who claim you can't access your childhood memories, the actual, and this is the published research now, the method to re-access the memories is serially. Do you remember your, I don't remember anything from my childhood. Do you remember, what's your earliest memory? Do you remember your mother's car? Do you remember the front door? Do you remember the living room? And you're asked to access totally banal memories. Why? Because it's gone serial. It's no longer random access, it's now serial. I remember the disgusting orangey brown curtains that we had in the 80s that were a throwback to the 70s. Yes, I remember the ridiculous bandana my mother used to wear. Yes, I hated her flares that she sometimes wore. Yes, I remember the couch. It was my first lover. This is what I said I wasn't going to do on Fortress Mental Health, but this is an hour and 7 minutes, and I know most people won't have made it this far, so I can say whatever I like. So then that way you access traumatic memory serially, not randomly. Okay, Tetris. In 2017, I was back in therapy. Early 2017, I had depression. So I discussed this with the therapist, and I went into a whole. I think I did like 10 sessions. I committed to it. As I told you before, I was like, I'm going to do whatever he tells me to do. I'm doing it. I'm at least giving it 7 to 14 days because you have to. And then I started looking at it, and I was living in Dublin at the time. So I had this funny Irish therapist, and he'd be like, how do you feel about that? And we figured out that I only was accessing 3 emotions that were not emotions at all. They were like sleepy, depressed, horny, angry. There was like,
Die typischen männlichen Emotionen, die es so gibt. Natürlich blöd, wenn darunter der ganze Unterbau nicht funktioniert und du vortraumatisiert bist, dann ist das deutlich zu wenig.
Gone completely primal. So I couldn't draw beautiful pieces of nuanced artwork, shaded in skin and everything. I was like, you know, just brutally being like, me angry, me sad, which is nonsense. That wasn't what I was feeling, but I'd broken contact with, you know, the matrix, the unconscious, and or I hope maybe the hypothalamus. So at that time, I started to, when I realized that I was emotionally illiterate, I dwelt with that, I thought about it, I introspected on it. I was like, is it an emotional flashback? Is it this, is that? And I started to look at the literature. Guess what? It was found that with combat veterans, and there's a study, if you look at the search term PTSD and Tetris, what they found is if directly after a very traumatic event that would typically give somebody PTSD, they'd have them in the hospital waiting room, they would invite them to play Tetris. And they found, to a reasonable degree, that immediately after the traumatic event, when you are in shock, if you are permitted to just, there's no story, there isn't the police telling you, like, this is how you should think about it, this is how you should feel about it. There aren't doctors telling you, this is how you should think, this is how you should feel. Because when you're in shock, whatever they tell you directly afterwards, you'll believe it. A lot of PTSD is, in my humble opinion, actually post-hypnotic programming. Extremely irresponsible post-hypnotic programming. This is awful, you'll live with this for life, you're going to be an alcoholic, you'll divorce, people are told that. They're either told it or it's expected. It's either implicit or explicit. They just had them play Tetris. And you go, are you out of your mind? IEDs, sniper attacks, people being beaten up, people in car accidents. And you're saying that playing Tetris was shown to help them? Yes, because I think, and the researchers thought, that actually the experience invites the brain to change shape in response to the horror, and it invites the brain to shrink. And in that moment, I wouldn't just have them play Tetris. I'd be much more directive with it, but at least they got that far with it. Like, Tetris isn't going to, but don't go and play Tetris and think that's going to solve your problems. It's not. It's in the moment after trauma. If you're not receiving post-hypnotic suggestions and you're allowed to relax, you have a better chance of sorting it yourself. This is a sorting of files problem. It's physical because it shrinks the hypothalamus, which they think is where you store memory and emotion, and particularly how you assign emotion to memory. And when you can't appropriately assign an emotion to a memory, you can't recall it, because your memories and your feelings about them are not separate, they're together. You start pulling them apart, becoming emotionally illiterate, you won't recall.
Das ist so interessant. Wir haben ja ein assoziatives Gedächtnis, kein Computergedächtnis, eigenes 1, 2, 3, sondern ein mit Gefühlen assoziiertes Gedächtnis, gerade was die Kindheit angeht und viele andere Punkte im Leben. Und der Schutzmechanismus bei posttraumatischer Störung, durch was auch immer jetzt, ist die Emotionen zu trennen von der Erinnerung, um dich selbst davor zu schützen, dabei den Hypothalamus zu schrumpfen, um so überlebensfähig zu bleiben. Wie in der freien Wildbahn. Das Gehirn und der ganze Körper ist ja darauf konzipiert zu überleben. Also versucht er dir ein Überleben zu ermöglichen, bloß bist du währenddessen halt emotional dysreguliert und funktionierst nicht richtig und hast eine kaputte Psyche, aber wenigstens überlebst du. Ja, das ist dann der Weg, mit Trauma umzugehen. Sehr spannend, die Emotionen von den Erinnerungen zu trennen. Das war mir selber neu. Soweit habe ich es auch nicht geguckt, aber sehr interessant.
And so you'll be like, oh, my short-term memory, or what do people typically say to me? My long-term memory is great, but my short-term memory sucks. And I'll be like, PTSD. PTSD. I don't say that to them because it becomes a post-hypnotic suggestion. I'll just go, oh, that's interesting. Well, we can definitely talk about that. I don't want to talk to you about it right now. I'll talk to you about it later, knowing that they're going to forget, because that's the...
Das ist auch interessant, dass das Kurzzeitgedächtnis bei besonders starker Traumatisierung gestört ist. Das erklärt zum Beispiel bei Borderline, dass die alle 3 Tage alles vergessen haben. Das ist sozusagen PTSB im Extremmodus. Dann immer mit diesem kindlichen Schwarz-Weiß-Wechsel. Muss ich ja nicht alles wiederholen. Aber da wird eben extrem dissoziiert.
State that they're in. And there's no point talking about it. Talking is not going to solve a physical problem if the hypothalamus is shrunk. So I'm making a claim now, I've not made it before, but you guys want to know what the emotional literacy thing is. When you do this and you do the push-up of go and tell me what this means, go and find an emotion, at first you fake it because the hypothalamus is asleep. So this would be the equivalent of somebody in a coma, their muscles are atrophied, and to get them to walk, they pick them up, they put them on I was doing this in February, with chair, with crutches, and the crutch walks for me, but I still put my foot on the floor so that we're still getting some pressure, some movement, something that keeps the body going to wake it back up, because the quad post ACL surgery like I had, it falls asleep and it just atrophies in no time. It's the muscle that atrophies fastest in the body and takes the longest to regrow. Yay! So we've got to get it moving. How do we get it moving? Falsely. This is riding the motorcycle. This is riding the bicycle with the stabilizers. These are your stabilizers. I can't just get you to do this on its own. It's too brutal. Go and tell me the traumatic memory and how you felt about it. I mean, some people do therapy like that, and I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Stop. What did you eat for lunch today? How do you feel about that? Little push-ups, tiny assisted push-ups first. Don't throw your client into the deep end. And as they do this, they build strength, and this becomes real. Either on the day, like immediately, your first one, you fake it. Second one, you're like, actually, I think I did feel shocked. And then the third one, you're like, what would a person feel who's not?
Auch ein interessanter Aspekt, dass durch Emotional Literacy die Leute langsam wieder daran geführt werden zu fühlen und du nicht gleich in die Retraumatisierung gehst. Wie war es da? Und vielleicht erinnert er sich zufällig und rastet völlig aus. Dazu gibt es ja dieses Rapid Eye Movement zum Beispiel, dass man währenddessen die Augen schnell bewegt, damit die Retraumatisierung nicht so schlimm ist. An sich wäre es wohl das Beste, jemanden langsam ranzuführen wieder.
Well, actually, I did feel like a hot prickling sensation in my skin, and I started to sweat. I think that's embarrassment. I think I was embarrassed. Yeah, I was embarrassed. And what was behind the embarrassment? Oh, I don't know. You know when you do this, and I say to you, what was behind the embarrassment? And you're going, That's your single point of awareness, internal, drifting off and going to speak to the Monty Python character who guards the records, who doesn't want to talk to you. That's your, what did I actually feel? Oh, you're back again. But he's a bit more exercised now. He's used to it now, and he can actually go and access memories, and he can actually go and access emotions. It's weak at first. It takes time to strengthen. 30 days later, I don't think you need it. But you must do it for 30 days. And if another traumatic event comes, you must be using your emotional literacy straight away, because now you're not a white belt. You're not a white belt. Something traumatic happens. You go into a bit of shock. You're like, oh, you're mortified. You go into mortification straight away. Don't play Tetris. You have something way better than Tetris. So as your body's like, oh, let's just turn off the, did I say pituitary? It's hypothalamus. Have I always been saying hypothalamus? If I said pituitary, that's wrong. It's the hypothalamus. It's the seahorse shaped thing. I think I always said hypothalamus. Did I? I don't want to have to reshoot this. I'll just stop it. I'll just be like, pituitary, hypothalamus. Hypothalamus. Don't let it switch off. Don't let him go to sleep. Keep that awake. The hand mnemonic and the emotional literacy thing is way deeper. Why have I not said this before? Because I want people to do it. I don't want them thinking about it. Because some people, especially intellectual types, like the ones who wanted this video, you'll watch this and your brain will go, wow, fascinating. I'll go and read that piece of scientific research. Nom, nom, nom. I'm full. I'll go and do something else now. Please don't do that. Please do it. You won't receive any benefits by looking at it and thinking about it. You must do it. This is a physical problem, ladies and gents. I think your pituitary, I just hypnotized myself. Your hypothalamus, not your pituitary.
Das ist auch schon langsam fertig hier, 1:03. Wir sind ja auch gleich durch. Spannender Aspekt. Man soll es nicht intellektualisieren, den Abwehrmechanismus der Rationalisierung nutzen und das intellektuell konsumieren, so wie ich es gerade auch tue, yam yam, interessant, und es dann aber nicht machen. Das hat er in dem Video, glaube ich, jetzt wirklich 20 Mal gesagt.
It's because when your HPA axis is dysregulated, it's the hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal gland. It's the way, said brutally, it could be like how you perceive threats and how you respond to it at a hormonal level. It's a physical problem. But I don't say that either, because then people go, oh, okay, so I need meds. I need antidepressants. I'm like, no. Your endogenous medical system, the medical system you have inside of you is just fine. But it's a physical problem, which is...
Da schließe ich mich ihm an. Antidepressiva ist wirklich nur das allerletzte Mittel, oder bei wirklich pathologischen Schäden, medizinischen Dysfunktionen im Körper kann man es ja mal machen, oder wenn es wirklich nichts mehr geht. Aber an sich muss man immer das System selber bereinigen, auch wenn es schmerzhaft ist und lange dauert. Aber viel zu viele verschreiben halt Antidepressiva, ist ja schon grassierend, weil ihnen auch nichts einfällt, weil auf den einzelnen Patienten wirklich einzugehen, der schreit und sagt, ich fühle mich schlimm, ja, hier, nimm die Pillen und hau ab, wird häufig gemacht, weil das andere halt ziemlich schwierig und langwierig ist. Auch vom Patienten gewünscht natürlich oder von Klienten, wie auch immer.
Is why you're looking at it going, either you know, intuitively, you know your brain is scrambled. The HPA axis, the way in which your cognition is interacting with your brain is cognating and feeling, so your cognating and emoting is interacting with your hormonal system. It is physically out of whack. So the emotional flashbacks, the depression, the anxiety, they are physical, but it is not a virus called depression that's landed in your body that needs a medicine to get rid of. None of this requires, in my humble opinion, none of this requires medicine, but I'm not a doctor. You should always defer to a proper professional, not some chap on YouTube. So that's what I think this really is. I'm exhausted now. I'm going to have to do an emotional literacy exercise about the trauma of doing this video. It's supposed to be 45 minutes. It was an hour and 17. Very good. Well done, everybody, especially those of you stuck right the way through. Now you know the secret behind this. It's not a simple exercise. It's a very, very deep exercise, and these are my expectations and hopes. And up until now, they have proven to be fruitful. People who do it for 30 days or more are reporting like the emotional flashbacks go, and they feel better than they've ever felt before. So that could be you too. It's free, except it takes your time. So please do commit to it. Give it a go. I wish you the very best in your healing journey. Please do set your intention to heal as clearly as you can, as frequently as you can. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time and for your attention, which you have given me a lot of today. And I do look forward to speaking to you again very soon. Cheers.
Cheers, Richie, sage ich. Sehr interessant, da ich das selber noch nicht gesehen hatte. Das ist die Erklärung dahinter. Hochspannend. Das Ganze macht für mich objektiv betrachtet auch echt wahnsinnig Sinn, sein System, was er da entwickelt hat. Deswegen habe ich es euch auch gezeigt. Wir sehen uns noch einmal wieder mit dieser toxischen Charme-Sache. Ich habe das Video noch nicht gesehen. Ich kann nichts versprechen, aber in Ausschnitten werde ich es vielleicht zeigen, weil das für mich auch ein wichtiger Aspekt ist, der aber weit vorgelagert ist. Ich hoffe, ihr habt was gelernt und habt was konkret therapeutisch praktisch, was ihr mitnehmen könnt. Den Aha-Effekt hier fand ich halt sehr, sehr gut. Ich würde das auch jedem Klienten empfehlen, wenn mich jetzt einer fragt, was soll ich tun? Ich bin emotional dysreguliert, ich komme nicht klar, mir geht es nicht gut, würde ich immer erstmal hier zugreifen, neben therapeutischen Maßnahmen. Insofern war es mir wichtig. Und damit verabschiede ich mich und sage, meine Arbeit endet hier. Eure bringt jetzt unten in den Kommentaren. Ahoi und bis bald.